to do, 7 to 20 hours a week is a reasonable amount. So even for those of you who only got 7 hours a week, you can pull this off. Now, if you got a little bit more time, of course, yeah, I think you can accelerate quicker if you do the right things, of course. So, but at some point, you know, if you want to be able to be in a position to where you can work 16 hours a week or 10 hours a week or 5 hours a week, whatever you want to do, at some point it's going to require you having already set up systems that allows money to be coming in, or it's going to require you to have made so much money that you can take some of that money and have it make more money for you. So it's going to take one of those things right there in order for that to happen. And so initially, people are not there yet. So that's why initially it does take a little bit more time and energy, and whatever time and energy you have, you can make it work. But if you do have more time and energy to be able to put into something, in anything, especially if you're doing it the right way, of course you're going to get quicker results. You're going to get better results. You're going to produce better results and all that stuff. But at some point, you know, when you're creating whatever it is you want to create, network marketers, sometimes you may get to that magical $20,000 a month range that they want to get to, or $50,000 a month, or $100,000 a month, you know, whatever these numbers are, you know, $500,000 a month, whatever. But at some point, you know, you're going to be making more money than what your expenses are. And so then that's when the real magic happens. So that's when you got to figure out what to do with all this extra money that's still left over. Most people, they're used to having just enough money to take care of all their expenses, and then maybe a little bit more to, like, you know, go visit, you know, their uncle, go to Disney World, Disneyland, whatever, a little bit of extra money, but not a significant amount to where, you know, they really got to think about what to do with it. You know, just enough to kind of, like, they have a little extra to go in the bank or whatever they do, have a little account, a few $100,000 or $100,000, whatever they might have, but not really enough that's constantly coming in to where you really got to start thinking about what you're going to do with all this extra money. And that's the magic. Once you realize, and once you kind of get a system down to what to do with all this extra money to where you can have the money, make more money, then you can live off of, you know, the interest or the dividends or the investments. Basically, you can live off your portfolio just from what your portfolio is generating without you ever having to worry about working and making money. That's the real thing that a person really want to get to, is to that point to where their portfolio is generating enough wealth to where they can live off their portfolio without ever touching their principal of whatever's in that portfolio. So if you got $10 million, let's just throw a number out there. So if you got $10 million and, or let's keep it simple then. Let's just say you got $1 million. Let's keep it real simple for people. 10 million might be a little too much for them to think about, but let's just say $1 million. If you got $1 million, and let's say you're getting 8% return on your investment, so you're kind of relatively conservative. That's not a big return. It's not huge. Obviously, it's better than the little, 1% that you might be trying to get at a bank or something. But if you're getting 8%, which is a relatively conservative situation, that's $80,000 a year. Now, $80,000 a year, you got to pay taxes and all that stuff, but you got to pay taxes at a different level, right? Because now you're paying capital gains type taxes. You're paying it differently than what you pay from regular working, earning income type wages taxes. So you're paying at a lower rate, in other words. That's the bottom line there. So you're going to be left with, like, $60,000. Let's just say that. Let's say you end up paying $20,000 in taxes. I'm just throwing a number. I don't know. So if you pay $20,000, you got $60,000. That's $5,000 a month. Now, $5,000 a month that's coming in, for some people, I don't know. I don't think that's probably going to work. Maybe they need at least $10,000 a month. But let's just say $5,000 a month is good for some people. If that's the case, they got a $5,000 a month head start then at least. Every month they got $5,000 a month just from their portfolio, just from that $1 million that's going to come in. And that's only earning 8% return. If they really know what they're doing, they can earn a lot more than 8%. Someone who's making 12% return, for example, is going to generate $120,000 a year from that same portfolio. And that's $10,000 a month. Now you're almost at a point where someone probably can, if they're generating, say, $150,000 a year, and they're able to keep $10,000 a month of that after taxes, now you're talking. Now that's where most people can think that they can have at least a reasonable little lifestyle at $10,000 a month, and kind of like be in a situation where they can be kind of set up nicely, especially let's assume that they paid off their house already. And so if they paid off their house and got $1 million left over after they paid off their house, in other words, they paid off their major debt. So they really don't have any major debt. They just got credit cards that they charge a little bit every month, and then they pay that off almost every month probably or whatever. It doesn't take like a whole bunch. That's what I'm trying to say. That's not, you don't have to be like, you don't have to have $50 million to have a really reasonable lifestyle. If you got $1 million or $2 million after you paid your house off and stuff like that, you're straight. If you're just trying to live a nice little lifestyle that is, you're not going to be hungry, you're not going to have to worry about paying your basic little expenses because you're going to have probably $3,000 in expenses a month or something, $4,000 a month in expenses. You got to pay property taxes still. You got, all that basic stuff, your homeowners association based on where you live, all your utilities, all those basic things you're going to have to pay. That's only a few $1,000s a month, really. Even for someone who has, the 7-bedroom house that we lived in, for example, that we built about 5 years ago, we made sure we built this house with a very high energy efficient. This is a smart house and it's highly energy efficient. So, we put foam throughout every part of the walls of this house and everything else. So this is highly efficient. So our energy bill, just so you know, like from our past house, our energy bill, our utility bill, just our utility bill from our last house was $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Just the utility, just for the electric. Yep, $1,200 to $1,500, and that was supposed to be pretty good for where we live. It was just pretty good neighborhood and stuff. And so we were able to cut that down dramatically in our new property that we built because of the energy efficiency of this house.
What is it down to now?
So now it's down to like 300, 350.
What?
Something like that. Sometimes, yeah. So it cut back dramatically as a result of 300 to 400. Let's be real here. So it's 300 to 400 depends on the time of the year, but that's like a 60-something %, 70% drop. And
every
the
month.
The square footage drop. Yes, that's true, but it was because of the way that we built this house. We made sure it was highly energy efficient. So we paid a lot of money up front to make sure it was fully energy efficient, but it was worth it because that's not that much now. So, the whole point is that, really, if people do it right, like even though I lost the $4 million, we're still okay. But it would be great, obviously, to have the $4 million too. That would be nice too. but look what just happened. Look what just happened with crypto last. I got like $1 million of that back already. Just from that. And, so.
All right. Well, last two questions, and then I know we got to get out of here. So. Okay. The first thing, again, ladies and gentlemen, you're here with Jerry Clark over at clubrhino.com. I'm actually on his website right now, and I know Jerry just gave his one that if he had to eliminate all of them, what he would get rid of and, what he would keep. And he said he would keep the Creating Magic series. Now, for me, I just wanted to get his fun fact, but for me, it's Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. You'll see it on the website. And it's the volume 3. It's the volume 3. That is the one, if somebody says this is all you could keep out of everything in his collection, that is the one that I would keep. Now, to these last two questions. Last question is, I know there was a part in your story as you were building your empire, you were talking about these technical know-hows and how there was a point in your career where you thought like, oh, I got to teach the people how to do this, how to do that, and then you kind of had that shift, kind of like Malcolm X when he went to Mecca and he had that shift and he completely shifted. The punchline to the question is, how do you feel about scripts in the world of business?
In the world of business in general?
Yeah, business, what were we talking about? Yeah, in business. Salespeople use business, maybe salespeople, anyone in sales. How do you feel about scripts?
Yeah, you know what? I don't have a problem with scripts. I think it's important for people to have an idea of what they're, going to say or discuss or whatever. I think that's important, and a lot of times that start off with having some type of script in mind. Now, what I do also agree with is that you should do your best to have those scripts become like a natural part of you then. So the script is just to kind of like organize your thinking, really. So you organize your thinking around what you're going to say, and also it makes things duplicable so that way other people can have an idea of what to say. But make sure you kind of keep your personality in it, and make sure you have some type of flexibility based on the other person who's listening to that information, based on where they're going with it, based on how they respond. You got to have some kind of flexibility and be able to have some what they call sensory acuity, being able to understand what's working and what's not working, and make some adjustments on the fly. So you got to have some flexibility. So I'd say some scripts with some flexibility. But the overall structure, I think people should structure almost anything they're doing. When I make these programs, I have a structure. So I have an outline. Sometimes I have detailed scripts because I want to make sure that I keep that program pretty much tight and not jump all over the place on that particular program if I have a focus on a particular topic. So I require a script to do that. If I'm going to, do a presentation because I'm trying to raise capital for a business, then I better have a really good idea of the key points that I want to cover. And hit the key tones, the key notes, I better have all that. If I want to make a new musical production or whatever, I better have a script. I better know my lyrics. So I think scripts are nice. It's just that make sure that you really understand where the script's coming from and what the script is about. So that way, if you ever have to have some kind of flexibility, it doesn't throw you off. I think the people that have a challenge when it comes to scripts is that if they miss one word in that script, it messes them up completely. And so you want to be able to say that one word or miss that one word and still be able to be on track to have that conversation, whatever that conversation is, on track to be able to assist whoever it is that you're working on assisting.
Excellent. And last question is, I know you've shared the stage and somehow worked with individuals on the upper echelon, the A-listers in the business world, the A-listers in the personal development world, network marketing world, names like Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, and the list goes on and on. But the question is, before you die, who would you like to meet that you haven't already met? And outside of Jesus and God and any other spiritual thing.
Yeah, so before I die, I would like to meet the most optimized, fully actualized version of myself.
And why is that?
Because that is going to be a great way to go into the light. To know that I came here, I gave it my all, I advanced, I continue to grow, and I was able to...
How much more can you grow, though? Like, is there something that you could...
Well, just to kind of give you an idea, every night when I go to bed, I've been doing this for 32 years. Every night when I go to bed, I still listen to an empowering audio. So I still do this 32 years later when I started doing it 32 years ago. I still listen to an empowering audio every single day, every single night before I go to bed, every night. And so, I'm still working on myself. I'm still doing my best to improve. I'm still, doing my best to, self-actualize, because I feel the better that I continue to work on myself, the more that I'm going to be able to continue to support the people that I'm working with. So whether they're coaching clients, whether it's people through my programs and courses and online courses and all that, whether it's through my webinars, live trainings, I think that they're going to be able to kind of, feel that and feed off of that, and they will get more value. So, yeah. That's
powerful. This is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. This has been an exciting episode. I want you guys to not just listen to this again on your ways to work, as many of you listen to us, and then implement leverage. I remember Jerry was talking about how you can monetize on information. That information that he just gave, listening to an empowering CD,